If you depend on Social Security, then this isn't just another headline. This is about your rent, your groceries, and your peace of mind. Right now in 2026, millions of Americans are hearing talk about a possible $200 monthly Social Security raise. And the big question is simple: will that extra money show up in your account? Because for many seniors, even a small increase can mean the difference between filling the tank or leaving it empty, between buying fresh food or choosing the cheapest option on the shelf. Across the country, retirees are watching prices climb while their checks struggle to keep up. Medical bills, insurance premiums, rent, and utilities are all rising. And for people living on fixed incomes, every dollar matters. That's why the idea of a $200 monthly increase has people paying attention. It's not just a number, it represents relief. It represents breathing room. It represents a chance to finally stop worrying about whether your money will last until the end of the month. But here's where things get serious. Not every increase you hear about in the news is guaranteed. Some proposals are real, some are still being debated, and others are simply political talking points. So the real story today isn't just about the number, it's about what's actually happening, who it could affect, and when changes could realistically reach your wallet. And what you're about to hear could impact millions of retirees across the country. Why $200 matters more than you think at first glance. $200 a month might not sound like a huge amount, but when you look closer, it can be life-changing for someone living on Social Security. For a retiree receiving around $1,800 a month, an extra $200 is more than a 10% boost in income. That could mean covering a prescription without stress, paying the electric bill on time, or finally replacing something in the house that's been broken for months. For couples, the impact could be even bigger. Two checks rising by $200 each could add up to $400 more every month, or nearly $5,000 a year. That's the kind of difference that can keep people in their homes instead of worrying about downsizing or moving in with relatives. But the truth is, the reason this conversation is happening at all is because seniors are feeling squeezed. The cost of living hasn't just gone up a little. For many essentials, it's jumped dramatically over the last few years. Groceries, utilities, and medical care are all taking bigger bites out of fixed incomes. And while Social Security gets annual cost of living adjustments, many retirees say those increases just aren't keeping up with real world expenses. That's why lawmakers and advocates have been discussing more significant increases, including proposals that would raise monthly checks by around $200. The idea is simple: if seniors built this country and paid into the system for decades, they shouldn't have to struggle just to get by in retirement. Where the $200 raise idea comes from. The idea of a $200 monthly increase didn't appear out of nowhere. It comes from proposals in Congress aimed at boosting benefits for retirees and people with disabilities. Some lawmakers have pushed plans to expand Social Security benefits, arguing that the current system no longer reflects the real cost of living for older Americans. One of the most talked about proposals includes raising monthly payments by about $200 across the board. Supporters say it would help seniors keep up with inflation and reduce poverty among retirees. They argue that after decades of paying payroll taxes, Americans deserve a retirement system that truly supports them. But here's the part you need to understand: a proposal is not the same thing as a law. Just because something is being discussed doesn't mean it has passed or that the money is guaranteed. In Washington, ideas often take months or even years to move through the legislative process. Some never make it at all. That's why there's so much confusion online. You might see headlines claiming the raise is approved, confirmed, or coming next month. But in many cases, those claims are based on proposals that haven't actually become law. And that's exactly why it's important to separate facts from rumors, because your financial planning depends on the truth, not just the headlines. What's actually happening in 2026? So, what is the real situation right now in 2026? As of this moment, there is no nationwide, across the board $200 monthly increase officially implemented for all Social Security recipients. What exists are proposals, discussions, and ongoing debates in Congress about how to strengthen the program and possibly increase benefits. What has happened, however, are the regular cost of living adjustments, known as COLA increases. These are the yearly adjustments designed to help Social Security keep up with inflation. The 2026 COLA did raise monthly checks, but for most beneficiaries, it was not equal to a $200 increase. The actual amount depends on your individual benefit. For some retirees with larger checks, the COLA increase may come close to $200, but for many others, it's much lower. That's why the $200 figure keeps appearing in headlines. It represents what some lawmakers say should be the new standard increase. In other words, the $200 raise is a proposed boost, not a universal reality yet. And that distinction is critical because misinformation spreads fast, especially when it involves money. Who could benefit the most? If a $200 monthly increase were ever approved, certain groups would likely feel the biggest impact. Low-income retirees, people relying almost entirely on Social Security, and those receiving disability benefits could see significant relief. For someone living on a small monthly check, an extra $200 could cover groceries for the month or pay for medications. It could also help people who are currently forced to choose between heating their homes and buying food. Widows, widowers, and disabled workers often have lower benefit amounts. For them, even a modest increase can make a major difference in daily life. And for seniors who have outlived their savings, Social Security isn't just part of their income, it's their entire safety net. That's why advocates argue that boosting benefits isn't just about comfort, it's about dignity. It's about making sure older Americans can live their final years without constant financial stress. The political debate behind the raise. The conversation around a $200 monthly increase is deeply tied to politics. Some lawmakers believe Social Security benefits should be expanded to better support retirees. Others argue that the program already faces long-term funding challenges and that any increase must be carefully planned. Supporters of the raise often propose funding it by increasing payroll taxes on higher earners or adjusting how the system is financed. They say that wealthier Americans can afford to contribute more to protect the program for future generations. Opponents, however, worry about the long-term sustainability of Social Security. They argue that without structural reforms, the system could face funding shortages in the coming decades. This debate is ongoing, and it's one of the reasons why the $200 increase hasn't become reality yet. Decisions about Social Security affect millions of Americans, and any change requires careful negotiation in Congress. How increases actually reach your check? Many people assume that if a raise is announced, it shows up immediately in their bank account. But that's not how Social Security works. First, any benefit increase must be approved through legislation or through the annual COLA process. If it's a new law, it has to pass both houses of Congress and be signed by the president. Then the Social Security Administration must implement the changes, update systems, and adjust payments. That process can take months. In some cases, people may receive retroactive payments once the increase is finalized. But the key point is this: there is always a delay between a proposal and actual money in your account. So if you hear about a $200 raise starting immediately, it's important to check whether it's an official change or just a proposal still being debated. What you should watch for next. If you want to know whether a $200 increase is really coming, there are a few signs to watch. First, look for official announcements from the Social Security Administration or confirmed legislation passed by Congress. Second, pay attention to major policy bills related to retirement benefits. If a law specifically mentions a monthly increase, that's when the conversation becomes real. And third, be cautious about viral headlines or social media posts. Not every claim is accurate, and some are designed to grab attention rather than provide facts. Staying informed through reliable sources can help you avoid confusion and make better decisions about your finances. What this means for your financial future. Even if a $200 monthly raise isn't guaranteed right now, the conversation around it reveals something important. The future of Social Security is still being shaped. Lawmakers are actively discussing changes, and those decisions could affect your benefits in the years ahead. That means it's more important than ever to stay informed. Understanding how Social Security works, how increases are decided, and what proposals are on the table can help you prepare for whatever comes next. For many Americans, Social Security isn't just a check. It's the foundation of their retirement, and any change, big or small, can have a real impact on daily life. Here's the truth. The idea of a $200 monthly Social Security increase is real, but it's still part of ongoing proposals and debates, not a guaranteed nationwide payment in 2026. That doesn't mean it won't happen. It just means the decision hasn't been finalized. And that's why staying informed matters so much, because the next vote, the next bill, or the next policy announcement could change everything for millions of retirees. Your Social Security check isn't just a number on a statement. It's your groceries, your prescriptions, your rent, and your independence. It's the result of decades of work and contributions. And any increase, whether it's $50, $100, or $200, can shape your quality of life. So keep your eyes on the updates. Pay attention to official announcements and make sure you don't miss the next major change that could affect your wallet. Because when it comes to your retirement, the details matter, And the next update could be the one that changes everything.